Hey, Mark the Meerkat here from the Grok Day Trading Tech Room, brought to you by Grok Trade. Hey, no one talked about the year-end results for the chat room, and here they are. Are you ready? We had 1,563.6% return on risk for the year. Hooah! And we had 312.7% portfolio return. Ooh, doggy. And that's out of 2,466 trades that we were able to call and get into. All right, that's a lot of numbers there, isn't it? Wow, superb, right? So let's stop and break this down. Now, this video is going to take a little while. I'm going to explain everything that we do and where I got all of these unbelievable numbers. So the proof is in the pudding. Here's the pudding. First of all, I'm going to talk about some definitions here, and then I'm going to talk about a typical day in the chat room, and then we'll sum up what a week looks like, and then we'll go to the year to date, and then how we rolled it down into all these numbers here. All right, you ready? So let's first talk about a couple of definitions. First definition I'd like to talk about is what your net return was on a specific trade. How do you calculate that? That is simply the difference between your entry and your exit divided by your entry price. And that'll give you a net percent gain or loss, right? And so then there's that. And then there's what we call the daily net gain, and that was simply you add up all those percentages, and then you either had a positive percentage for the day or a negative percentage for the day. And then we'd roll that up into a week. So then you have your weekly return. Again, this is all percentage wise. And then we'd roll that into quarterly, then we roll that into annual. Now, what do these percentages mean from a dollar standpoint? Well, a lot of people will think of portfolio return. So those percentages are the net gain on each trade and the net of all your trades, not your portfolio return. But the way we measure it is what we call return on risk, because it depends on how much you invest in each trade as to how much money that would turn into percentage-wise from the percent to dollars. So here's what we do, is that we begin, because people's account size are none of my business and how much they're trading, and quite honestly, I don't like to share what my account sizes are or how much I'm trading out of my account. So we just deal in percentages here. And so when we do that, by the way, it kind of keeps us below our emotional threshold. We're not thinking about money per se. But what it is we have what we call a model portfolio, if you want to convert this into dollars. So if you were to buy $10,000 worth of stock each time, each trade, that's what we call your lot size, and then we have an automatic 1% stop attached to our trade, so we're actually risking $100 per trade. But then for every 1% gain, net gain we have, that would be equal to $100 if you're doing that $10,000 lot size. Now, some folks are doing less than that. Some folks might be doing more than that. I don't know. But that's our model, so you can kind of get an idea of where we can convert this over into money. And so when we do that, then so if on a particular trade, if we made, if it was plus 1%, it was net $100 if you're doing the $10,000 lot sizes. So let me show you a typical day then. A typical day. One more definition, that is portfolio return, is whatever gain you had for the year divided by your opening balance. That would be your portfolio return. So when we get to the end of the year-end numbers here, we'll talk about that and where I came up with that number on the first page. All right, so let's look at a typical day here. Here's how we'd start out. We'd take a look at the 7,500 stocks and ETFs out there and go through some scanners. And we're going to try to find what we call the pretty stocks. And then we put those on a focus list. And here's what our focus list would look like. And we'd fill that in with the stocks that are moving and they're very pretty today. And then if they're just semi-pretty, as we call them, we put those over on the watch list. The watch list then is going to be where after the market opens, those are ones that we're going to look at after the market opens. And then these ETF pairings up the center here are if the commodities, natural gas or the VIX is moving big, we can trade an ETF on that because we don't trade the futures, we just trade stocks and ETFs. So if they're moving that day, then we'll highlight those, and then you can see some of the information we look at reviewing the broad market up front there. We do that prior to the market, so we know what kind of environment we're trading into each day. Now we trade in the chat room from 9:30 to about 11:30, 12 o'clock Eastern time, or aka market time. So if you're available, then you could join us in the chat room. Go to groktrade.com, and look underneath the chat room page and read all that information. And now let's talk about once we get once the market opens and I start calling trades, and then I get into trades again, just telling people what I'm doing, and then they're making a decision whether they want to get into those. And what's happening throughout the days, other people are calling things out, are starting to move that we weren't on our original list. So here's like a typical day here in the chat room. This would happen to be from June, and we had 12 trades that day. Here we had 12 trades. I can't quite show it in here. There we go. We had 12 trades this day, and we had some positive trades. We had a break-even trade, and then we had some expense trades here as well. And then for the day, we have statistics and we have certain targets for each day. So I had 8 income trades versus 12. Now you say, wait a minute, when you look over here, well, because I count break-even trades as expense trades. All right, so it just keeps my statistics a little bit lower. I don't want to overstate our statistics here. And so 8 out of 12 is 66% success rate. Now we have a target of, we want to make money on 6 out of 10 trades each day, and for the week, for the month, for the quarter, for the year. That's our target for that. And we want to make 0 errors, meaning that we have certain trading rules to get in and manage our rules and get out. And an error is if I don't follow one of those rules. And I record those, and I think I had 4 of those this year. We'll talk about those a little bit later. And then the net for the day. Now this again, percentage net. We have a 5% target. A net of all the trades up here, and then we want to have a stretch goal of 10%, which means if exceptional day, we'd be at 10% or better. This particular day we were at 3.25, which is less than our 5% target. Again, converting that over, if you traded $10,000 per lot size, well then that 5% would equal $500. On this day we only made about $325. And again, now that we're commission free on a lot of them, that's not even with commission anymore. And then we added up for the week here, so we'll be going back and doing this a little bit later. So that's the way a typical day goes, and we're calling the trades out. Now because I'm leader of the room, I have to call the trade out and then get into it myself. But I will tell people all along, here's what I see, this high base developing. I'm ready to go long at this particular point, but I have an order set there, but it's not transmitted yet. That's how that all works. All right, so that's a typical day. Now let's take those daily results and roll them up into weekly results. First of all, let's look at 2 of the worst weeks that we had. So here is the week ending 6/21/19. This was what it was for the week. We just traded 4 days that week. This is our second worst day of the year, week of the year, and this was for 12.4% for the week net. All right, so it's about $1,200 net for the week. And 52% success rate, and and not every day was a winner. In fact, we actually had an expense day here. What date was that? The 20th. We can just take a look. There's an expense day. Here's the 20th here. Well, no, we had trades, but we didn't make many money that particular day. We do have several of those, but each week we've made money on every week. But it got real close here on this other one I want to show you. The worst week, or the lowest income week that we had all year long, was here, and it was on the week ending 8/23/19. And here it is for the week. Here we had 2 days of expenses, and we had income days, but we ended up with 2.25%, or about $200 for the week. Okay, that was the lowest week that we had, but we did have income of some kind every week throughout the year. Now let's go to the good side, or let's go to the biggest weeks that we had for the year. Gives me a second here. And here it is. This is the week of 9/20. It might happen to be the day after my birthday. Anyway, look at that. We had an incredible week. Look at this. In fact, this Wednesday here, we'll take a look at that day. That was the biggest single day that we had all year. And this is the second biggest week we had all year, 68.4%. That's about $6,800 if you're doing the $10,000 lot size. But even more important, look at that, 70% success rate. Woo, way above our 60% total. Now let's go ahead and take a look. But look at on Friday, we only had 2.9%, right? Let's take a look here at the 18th. And that was incredible. And on the 18th here, we had 10 trades, but look at this one, this MDR, believe I did a video on this one. 33% on that one trade alone. And look at on the second, I took out half when it stalled, and then the second half went up 59%, and net trade was 33%. And wow, that was an incredible trade. It happens just a couple times a year where we get a big runner like that. But you know, we had expense trades on that particular day too. So that was the biggest single trade of the year for me. All right, then we had our actual biggest week. Remember, this was the biggest. This was the second lowest week here. Well, guess what? Just 1 week prior, on the 6/14 week ending 6/14. Look at this puppy. Woo, 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 woo. On Monday, we had 41%. We had 25% on Tuesday. Look at it going downhill. And we had an expense day on Thursday. Incredible. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the 10th, which was a very big day in the room. Here's what the trading looked like on that particular day. Again, this PRVB had 26% on the one trade. And again, I took out half when it stalled at 20%, and it ran up to 32% on the second half and ended up at 26% net for that one trade. And you can see I traded it several times that day. But look at that. And again, success rate 72% for the day and 41% for the whole day there. But again, focusing on this is the best week ever. And again, we did that, and this ended up being over, almost over $7,000 net income if you were trading the $10,000 lot size. And again, for folks in my room, they don't catch every one of these trades, and also people are calling out trades throughout the day, and so that you can jump in on something else as well, and you might be scanning and finding one on your own, and then you could share it with other people in the room. That's the way it works. All right, so we took a look at how we start each day. Now we start how we added up here for the week. All right, let's go to those the annual results here. And now, again, this is based on, you can see here, $10,000 lot sizes as far as the dollar side of this, but these percentages are all the same no matter how much you're trading on each trade. And we're going to go and break this all down here, but we'll just kind of scan real quickly here. I did it quarterly. Here's the results from the first quarter. And then, I'm just taking these weekly results that you see there and then transferring them over here on this one here. And then here's third quarter. And then here's fourth quarter. And then here are those year-end numbers that I spouted at the very beginning here. Up here to the 1,563.6% was our cumulative net percentage. And of course that translates, if you did the $10,000 lot size, to $156,000 income for the year. Now for this portfolio return, we'll come back to this. All right, so let's go quarter by quarter here. Again, I'm just breaking down the numbers so you know where they came from here, folks. So here we have it. Again, number of trading days, we tracked that. How many income trades did I have? How many total trades did I call and get into? Because there's several trades a day that I call out and I don't get into because it runs right by my entry area and I don't want to chase it. And then and this is where I record the errors. And now then this is the weekly percentage here for each week, and it accumulates for the quarter. So for the first quarter, we were at 58.7% success rate. And we ended up with a 24% average per week. Again, our target is what, 25. We were just under our target for the week after the first quarter. Let's move on down here, and I'll expand some of these numbers later. So then we have here the second quarter, and net of all these, we had some really low weeks here. We were very much. A lot of the weeks we were below 60% target. We ended up at 55% for the second quarter. Net for the week, though, we ended up at 30.8. So we actually increased that on a per week basis. Again, our target's 25. Now let's take a look here at third quarter. We were struggling there in third quarter, but we ended up with 61% success rate after all of these trades that we made. And again, I did have some errors here. I did two of these. This was I went long instead of short here. Long instead of short here. I made two. I did that twice in 1 week, and then I did it again a week later. So that all four of my trades were that I went if I wanted to go long and wanted to go short, I actually hit the buy button instead of the sell button. So there was 4 times out of my 2,466 trades that I did that. But again, we don't want to have errors because that screws up with our trading system. And then here we had, this is that low week that we had here at 2.25 for this particular week, and we traded 5 days that week, but this day we traded, and then we did 68% just a couple of weeks later there. So again, those are some, it just shows you every day is a separate and unique event here, folks, in the trading room. And then we have this fourth quarter here. Our average was 32% per average per week. And we look at this at the very end here on the success rate. We end up at 60, but man, look at the last week here. We were 85% just on the, well, those are the last 2 days of the trading year. We had an incredible 2 days there. And it was just 2 days though. And so, but overall we end up at 60, over our target of 60% for the quarter, and averaging that to about $3,200 per week. Again, above our 25%. So let's take a look at the overall yearly results here. We traded 225 days. I traded 225 days. The room was open on days like I'm on vacation, and then of course there's those there's those holidays in which the market is closed. I'm not involved there either. That averages 4.24 trading days on average per week. Now I called out 2,466 trades that I got into then, and then this is how many were income trades and the rest were expense. So for the entire year, just under our 60% target, 58.9% for the entire year. Next, I had 4 errors here, and I pointed out some of those before, and then I would accidentally push the buy button instead of the sell button when going short, and which are different than the errors I had a year before. I was having problems setting my stop. Now I have a 1% attached stop to each order, so as soon as I'm in, exactly 1% behind, my stop is activated. So I eliminated those errors from last year, but then created a couple of other errors because I have a couple extra lines on my chart. All right, let's go over here to the dollar size, this dollar sign part of this. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, so the cumulative here on the for the percentages here, when you add them all up, was 1,563%. So on average, an average day, I was making 6.9%. Average week, just under 29%, or just above 29%, which on the average week, then making about $2,900 per week on average. Again, our target was 25, and we're over that target. And then so income for the entire year, trading $10,000 per lot size, $156,362. Wow. Yes. Now, this is where portfolio return. What was that? I touted, hey, it was 312%. Well, it all depends on what your opening balance was, folks. Is to if you traded the $10,000. Depends on your opening balance, because if you had an opening balance of $50,000, you add 156, that's 312%. Well, what if you started with a $100,000 account? Well, then that would be 156%, which would not be a bad return for a year, right? But if you just started with a $30,000 account, well, then you're talking 500%. So again, it all depends on what your opening balance was. And again, the definition from the beginning was here that portfolio is the income that you had for the year divided by your opening balance. So, that would change for everybody. So, just calling 50,000 here, because you have to have at least 25,000 to day trade. That would, of course, be and that's 312. That's where I got that. So folks, would you like to join us in the Grok Day Trading Chat Room? We'd love to have you. Go to groktrade.com, groktrade.com. Go to the Day Trading Chat Room page. You can sign up there. You can do either you sign up for a monthly subscription or an annual subscription. But either way, 7 days risk-free trial. Do 5 trading days. Just join us, see if it may work for you or not, and then go ahead and join us. And if you can be in front of the markets between 9:30 and 11:30 Eastern time or market time each day, and you can trade right along with us. So this is Mark the Meerkat. I just want you to trade well, let your winners run. and may 2020 be your best trading year ever.